Following is my conversation with Ravi Theja, who is a DevRel engineer at LlamaIndex and also an AI researcher whose fine-tuned model called Navarasa was featured on Google I/O. In this conversation with Ravi Teja, we jump into the journey of how he ended up being where he is right now, which is the DevRel intersection AI engineer. We also discuss about what it takes for somebody to come at this position, and we also have some fun discussion around RAG, fine tuning, and all the other aspects around becoming an AI engineer. In fact, we question what is AI engineer. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Hey Ravi, welcome to One Little Coder podcast. Tell us more about yourself.
Hi, Abdul. Thanks for having me here, and really excited about this podcast. So myself, Ravi, and I'm a DevRel and also an engineer at LlamaIndex. At LlamaIndex, I keep working on implementing latest research papers as well as create insightful blog posts on RAG framework, interact with the community, help the community in building RAG and agentic solutions, as well as create content, videos. And yeah, apart from this, I do Indic LLM work on Indian language LLMs, fine tuning, where the recent work got mentioned at Google I/O, which is Navarasa, which was catering to 15 Indian languages, fine tuned on Gemma. And also, yeah, we have created some data sets and also taken some data set from the open source community to build the model. Yeah, this is
That is
my overall order I've been doing it.
okay, great to know. Can you take us through your journey? Like, where did you start? I know that you started as an electrical engineer, and how did you come at this position where you are an AI engineer, AI researcher?
Probably it's a very long discussion. Is it okay to share?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
go on, go on.
yeah, it's a very 10-year long journey, I guess. So yeah, I graduated in electrical engineering in from NIT Warangal, and then I think it's 2013. I'm 2009, 13 passed out, and then I worked in a company called HPCL. It's a government petroleum company as a operations officer trainee, where I was dealing with operations, sales, dealing with the sales people, basically management role. Yeah, being more on technical, and I couldn't enjoy that part of my job, and then quit it. And then I appeared for gate examination by taking a year gap. So it looks very dumb decision right now, but at that point of time, I was thinking it was a very good decision. And then it did not go well even after preparation. I did give interviews at some IITs, and it did not work out. But then I went for data science certification and worked in a startup at Hyderabad. In fact, my first project was in big data. And I should be fortunate to Sri Ramurthy sir, who has given me my first opportunity. Without him, I couldn't have been here. And then after that, the rank which I got 2 years back, which I thought it is not useful, accidentally got useful and made me get a master's admission at IIT Bangalore. And there I worked with Dinesh Babu and Raghavan sir on computer vision and NLP tasks. And then I moved to TCS Research, where I worked on NLP research, published a paper at Colin, and then went into Glance in Mobi, where I worked on building recommendation systems and GenAI applications. Yeah, after that, getting into LlamaIndex is a kind of tricky journey for me because I didn't expect it, because most of the times I'm looking for opportunities in a normal way of applying on LinkedIn or through referrals, but LlamaIndex is a different journey. So it happened it was I was building some use case on GPT-3 plus probably external database, and I was discussing with one of my friend about how can we do it, and we ended up in retro DeepMind paper. And on the DeepMind paper, GitHub. After the call, I went to the GitHub, and then I saw LangChain and GPT Index. So I was tinkering with GPT Index, which is very early, like probably December 2022. And then there was I mean, the answers were not getting answered as expected. So the GPT Index Twitter handle, I just commented out like, this is not working. What can I do? So Jerry just messaged me on Twitter that what's the issue and how can we solve it. And we got in a call up sometime, and then we brainstormed on it, and we figured out a solution. And then I made a demo. So I asked him, can I do a contribution, because this is not available in the library? So he said, go ahead. And so that is my first contribution in the OSS. I have never did a PR in the OSS journey. So that is my first contribution. And then, yeah, I think my first contribution is, if I remember correctly, somewhere around January 2023, right? So, and then as I keep doing picking up some use cases, there are some voids I keep seeing, and then I keep contributing to the library. This continued for a few months, and in the meantime, seeing my contribution, some companies reached out to me for RAG is like a very new thing in 2023 starting, right? So people started to reach out for some solutions and helping out. So I was helping with Llama Index, building some RAG solutions and giving talks and connecting workshops and all those things. So that's where how I ended up at Llama Index doing our OSS contributions. And then with Indic LLMs, so yeah, I want to do something with fine tuning. And then people were trying out for different languages. So why not Telugu language? And then I was initially tinkering with Telugu language, bringing up the data sets, and then reading some papers and how people are doing, and then how people were like there was Chinese Llama earlier. So I was looking into their GitHub repo and Tamil Llama from Abhinandan. So I was looking into his repository as well. And then I started tinkering out, and then Ramsey later on Jan seeing me as well. And then, I mean, both of them built the first version, Telugu Llama. And then we did with Tiny Llama as well. But then we understood that the tokenizer issues were there, and then the lot of issues like datasets, availability of datasets, uh, and even compute resources. So it took some time to understand all these nuances and reach out to people to get it done. But then the good thing is Gemma has released out its well-known good tokenizer. I mean, the not optimal, but still the good one available in the market. So that's when okay, this is good one, so can we do fine tuning to cater to the Indian language? So we started initially with the Telugu one. um, uh, Fortunately it worked really well, we didn't expect it. And then we scaled up to 9 languages, and with the help of community interest we scaled up to 15 languages. Yeah, so that's the story. I mean, yeah. And then yeah, Navarasa, the I mean, Navarasa is a 15 languages Indic fine-tuned LLM. So it got mentioned at Google I/O. Very happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also watching it live, so I was very happy to see Navarasa getting featured on Google I/O. So the journey that you said, it has a lot of pieces. So I wanted to understand one thing is like along the way you had to pick up a lot of skills, whether it was data science. When you did masters, you had implemented papers. Then you created a PR for Llama Index. Or okay, for folks who do not know, Llama Index was previously called as GPT Index. Then it got renamed to Llama Index, and even now fine tuning. So there are a lot of different pieces where you had to pick up skills. So how did you pick up or build those skills along these lines?
Okay, I think the answer to this question is curiosity. I mean, curiosity, to pick up a skill, you need to have some interest in it, right? So, I mean, I could have picked something like some other skill like RL as well, right? Reinforcement learning as well. Though I did some study during my masters, but still I did not get deep dive. But there was some end task, like let's say IndyLLM fine tuning, or else with Llama Index RAG framework, right? So there is an end goal, and then there is a curiosity and interest in me to reach that goal. And then now you have an end goal, like you have a curiosity towards something, you work backwards towards it. So what is the first point? And then, yeah, first is like maybe look for GitHub repos or data sets, and then see, okay, look into some code bases, understand those code bases, and then build very basic POC out of it. Like my first to understand Llama Index, I was actually doing on simple resumes. So I used to just index resumes and then ask queries on top of it. So asking questions, because my manager has a bunch of 800 resumes for his job posting. And then seeing my demo, he said like there are 800 demos. It will be very useful if you can have a good tool out of it. So there is a use case, and then I started tinkering on how you can build it. And there are some tools maybe on along the way you need to learn some tools, right? Yeah, this is one way. This is the approach I took.
So it's mostly like learning on the job rather than going like learning a course and then applying it here.
Yeah, learning a course and applying that. Yeah, actually, yeah. So that is other way you can take. But learning a course and applying it worked when I just wanted to enter the field. Like initially when I did a certification course, right? So that's when it worked. Like really don't know anything about the field. It's a very new domain. Nothing stats, maths. Even though we studied in the engineering, but still not at the level of what data science requires. So that's when I did a certification, and then that helped me to get into the field, understand the field. Once, yeah, you have a broad overview of how things work, it's more on the use case and what you want to build.
Interesting aspect where you mentioned that you made your first OSS open source contribution with Llama Index or GPT Index back then. And
Mhm.
it is very fascinating because I want to know whether when you made that contribution, you are not a Llama Index employee. Did
Yes,
you
yes.
did you actually do that thinking that at some point you are going to be an employee, or like what was the intention at the time?
No, no. I mean, I never thought doing some OSS contribution will make to get a job here, or maybe Jerry will start a company or something like that. So the motivation I have is okay. I think. I want to do, okay, it is helping for me. Probably it will help someone else. And then writing code is fun. And then making a PR is fun. And getting review is fun. So I think it all comes to, I had fun in that making PR and getting merged. Seeing my PR, whatever code I have written is in the visible to the outside world, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, I think
Mhm.
it is also very interesting because I know that the contributions that you made at that time. When you made the contributions, it was not even a company at that time. It was just like a GitHub repository, and you made that contribution, and then later on, it started helping you. How much do you think that open source contribution helped you in your career, like where you are right now?
Oh, it helped a lot. Like, I mean, if I wouldn't have, I mean, obviously, okay, to go back a little bit, LlamaIndex is not the first repository where I thought of doing OSS contribution. I was exploring Spacey, and I was exploring Hugging Face as well, and I was exploring Lightning AI. So these were some repositories for deep learning era. These are some repositories, even Hugging Face and Lighting, they are very much relevant even now. But before this LLM revolution, like yeah, I was exploring them, but I couldn't get a hang of it. Like, what should I do here? I mean, people used to say like go to some pull request and then see which what if you some pair interest you pick it up, but I couldn't get it. Like Hugging Face I tried, but still it did not I mean, I was doing some contributions, but it did not I couldn't make it stick to a very long period of time for some reason. I think with LlamaIndex, as I said, it's the business use cases which I liked it, and then I picked up over the time.
And in terms of open source contribution, people are usually very scared, like even to raise a GitHub issue. But you ended up making a PR now, it's part of your daily life now. How easy or difficult do you think it is for an average programmer to, let's say, make their first open source contribution to a project like Llama Index as big as this?
I mean, it's not very hard. So people think like, see, the simplest way to go is you obviously every repository has documentation, right? You go through the documentation, you might not find some things. You find some things not so good. So the easiest way is go through the documentation and okay, if you understand some things, probably you can look into how can you improve it. If there are some documentation errors, it's very simple, right? Like all these are readme files, you can just edit them and then raise a PR. It's very simple one. And the other one is like probably you are looking into some evaluations or something. If you have run through the notebook and see that evaluation code and see if you want to optimize it further, or if you see for some errors or not. So that is an easier way, or else you can add cookbooks as well. right? Okay, I there is some new features, like let's say Llama agents has come, right? So there are a lot of Llama Index cookbooks as well. You can quickly adapt it to Llama agents and then raise a PR. These are some initial ways, and then this will get you an idea of what the library is doing, and how can you improve it, and how can it cater to some use cases. From there on, like once you get an idea of what the entire framework is doing, you can take it from there.
So I personally got to know you through the contributions that you made to Llama Index, and I think now so many thousands of people in the entire world would know you because you have written like articles about Llama Index, made PRs, contributions. How does it feel that like there is a change that you have made somewhere like from a part in India, and now that is like reflecting throughout the world, and people are benefiting from that? Like, how does it feel to have made that kind of contribution?
It feels amazing, but it's also surprising because sometimes I feel this is so obvious, but writing some article around it, people find it very interesting. So it feels amazing, and then I understand, okay, some things might be obvious to me, but people won't understand it. I mean, people might not make sense out of it so fastly. So it's important to, even if it feels very small to me, uh, I still write some cookbooks or blog posts around it.
And you always have a knack for finding interesting use cases. When I see with the Llama Index, I think the most recent one that I saw was like mixture of agents, which I'm still planning to make a video about. You created like a Llama pack, and then it's very simple for anybody to implement mixture of agents. How do you find those new use cases and projects? Like, do you read about it? Like, do you have interest? Like, how do you find them?
As I'm in the community, I keep interacting with the people, I mean, builders, as well as companies. And then, so as I keep interacting, I'll get to know there will be some patterns, everyone. Like if you talk to some bunch of people, there will be some patterns where people are facing difficulties, right? So from those patterns, I can get some things. Okay, that is one way. And the other way is I keep following people on Twitter. If I find something interesting, like Mr. of Agents, or maybe there are a lot of papers which I have implemented earlier as well. If I find something interesting, and then this can be implemented with Llama Index and community will be helpful, it will be helpful for community. Then yeah, go ahead and implement it. And the third way is I keep checking archive. I mean, the early morning routine is type rag, type agents, and what are the new papers have come in, and then see if something is interesting. Yeah, I mean, these are the three ways I look for uh, some Llama packs or papers that can be implemented.
So if I see generally your career, I see like lots of ups and downs. Like being a non-CS engineer, getting into a CS role is difficult, but you went through that, and then masters, and then a job. But now you are in a job which is like a dream job for a lot of people. Like you are part of an open source project, but also a company that is like at the cusp of AI revolution, RAG, and all the hot keywords, buzzwords that people talk about. If you were to like give me what are the characteristics or what made you to be here, not necessarily like the techniques, but like generally, like what are the characteristics that brought you to this success? I mean, I find it success. I don't know how you feel it, but I find it really successful. Like you are at a great place. Like if you were to describe what are the characteristics one should have to reach this point, that will be very helpful for a lot.
I think, as I said, curiosity. One thing what helped me in the whole journey is the curiosity. One needs to have that curiosity, and also risk taking. uh, I mean, don't worry about, I mean, if something is not working. I mean, before getting into Navarasa, we were doing Tiny Llama was a very bad model. And we spent really, me and Ramshree spent very long time on it, like almost a month. And it did not work anyway. And in fact, Ramshree was posting about we will release Tiny Llama model. And then we did not even release about it because it was very bad. So yeah, the risk taking and keeping effort, you don't need to worry about, and keep taking the risk, and then keep building, keep shipping, have that curiosity, and yeah, that's it. And never scared for anything. Eventually something will pop up in life, uh, as you keep building and shipping. That's what I have seen in my life, and then in friends' lives as well.
Navarasa kind of model. So there are these models that are in, let's say, the entire world, like English speaking languages like GPT-4, Claude. All these are like the frontier models. And then you have got these second tier models like, let's say, like Gemma. But those are, even though the model is not as good as, let's say, Claude or GPT-4, but that model is helping in creating these sovereign models, country specific, language specific, domain specific. What do you think would be the value of creating your own language model or sovereign models?
Okay, yeah. So when we were creating Navrasa, like GPT-4o was not there. Like so GPT 3.5, GPT-4 were not so good in for Indic languages. So at that point of time, that was the motivation, and then we were creating it. So there is value addition, like especially when we were giving talks and all. So people were asking for, hey, I have a notebook in Hindi. I want to translate it into some other language so that my mom can read it. So wherever we went, like translation was the big use case that we have seen, and people were very much interested in. And then, yeah, two, it is not directly linked to the question, like the voice mode, whatever GPT-4 OpenAI has released. If you try doing it for Indic languages, it's not very good, right? It becomes so funny. So eventually, I mean, I think someone in India will build, or some for the other country, they might be building their own voice to voice models. Yeah, at this point of time, yes, there is a lag in it. Maybe OpenAI will come up with something and then release which is good for Indian language as well. But yeah, these are some things I thought.
Okay.
And then
So,
even yeah.
no, no, go on, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think even there are a lot of other use cases, right? Like on the farmer side. I mean, even Kisan AI is working on that end. Like, let's say I am probably there is uh, there are a bunch of activities that are tasks that happen on a day-to-day daily basis, and then these are probably tasks for uh, maybe a bank, or uh, uh, maybe jumping onto a bus or something like that, right? So, and for all these different use cases, probably I'm talking about function calling capabilities as well. So for Indic languages, how are these function capability Indic tasks? How are these function calling capabilities? And there are no specific benchmarks as of I know of. So yeah, there is a void. So as I speak, there is a void, right? So you can actually pick up this as a project, right? You can build a data set of this agentic data set, like function calling data sets for the Indic languages, and then see how on these, maybe start with just creating some 100 or 1,000 samples. And once you create those samples, you take any open source model or GPT-4, evaluate it. If it's not working as expected, that means there is a lack of capability of these models. And then you fine tune a model, and then build some and see the benchmarks are increasing, and share it with the community. So it's a very small project, right? How I came up with some idea, and then okay, there is a flow now.
And you already gave me a project idea, which is kind of going to be my next question. But still, I'll ask the question. Let's say there is an average engineer who's, let's say, not a computer science engineer, just an average engineer who knows a little bit of programming. And if they are aspiring to become an AI engineer, can you give like a roadmap or like a guide how they can like reach there?
Okay, AI engineer is a very broad term.
Okay, let's not. Maybe an
So,
AI engineer is somebody who puts together like systems. Somebody like you, not necessarily like you are building frontier models. You are like fine tuning like trillions of parameters models. Just like, let's say, a normal AI engineer.
okay, I mean, there is nothing called a normal AI engineer, first of all. Everyone is an engineer or AI engineer. So when, on a funny note, when I was, I mean, doing the certification program, my professor used to say, we computer scientists are very innovative in bringing up terms like data scientist. So data scientist, big data engineer, and then probably NLP scientist, and then ML engineer, and then now AI engineer. I don't know what term will evolve. So to answer your question of someone who is very early in their career, I think it comes to some use case specific, I will say, at least in my, that's what worked for me, right? Take some use case that can be anything in your daily life. Okay. Probably in daily life, you have some documents at your home and you want to create some chatbot where it can help your parents. Okay. And then now you have a use case. So you want to build an application on top of it. You need LLMs for it. You need a good interface for it. If you build that application, the entire full stack is ready, right? So I mean, once you build that, okay, if the LLM is not functioning, then you need to ideate yourself why it's not functioning. What is the drawback to it? Then you come to, okay, people are talking about fine tuning LLMs. Maybe let me try around fine tuning LLMs. Yeah, and yeah, fine tuning LLMs and then building some chatbot. I think you are good to go from there.
So pick a use case that will help you in your daily life and then see how to solve that use case. Try to solve that use case and then see what works, what does not work, and then branch out there and then do whatever that is required.
Yeah,
And
yes.
where will you put open source contribution in this? Like, would you also say that people should actively contribute to open source or try to do it, or just like do projects?
I think it might go hand in hand. So as I said, like something I said, right? Pick up a project. Either you use for the chatbot project, you use LlamaIndex or any other framework. You pick up that and then you build some project. Either you fall in love with LlamaIndex, either or you hate LlamaIndex or any other framework. So if you fall in love in LlamaIndex, that means you will get deeper into it and then you might find some voids and then you feel like spending like a week or so and then do some OSS contributions, right? And that gives some visibility, and if you want to try jobs and all, that might help you. And if you don't like it, probably you'll break your head and make it better. I'll make my own framework which makes easier for people to build applications. And that's when you start a library, publish it, make it as a package and share it with the community. Yeah,
You have
I
been in this.
guess. No, I guess I answered your question.
Yeah, perfectly, perfectly. I think like if somebody is starting, like let's say a university student or somebody early in career, or even like a lot of working professionals, like 10 plus years of experience, sometimes they message me and then they're like, my career is very stale. This domain looks like very interesting. Like, what should I do? I think like this is like a perfect advice for them. I wanted to
Yes.
ask, like, you have been in this space for quite a while, and what is something that excites you when you look forward to the future?
As these models have been improving, let's say you have a document which has, I mean, the enterprise documents have pie diagrams, bar charts, and then a lot of different kind of data present in it. So the multimodal capabilities are still in the evolving phase, right? The understanding this pie diagram and getting the exact answers. I mean, 3.5 Sonnet is really good and GPT-4 is very good. So, but still, where how can you use them and build for multimodal use cases? That is one area. And the other area is agentic capabilities. I mean, we haven't seen, I mean, we do get lot of issues in a daily life, let's say banking issues. I have a credit card and somehow I have to add some money into it. Okay. I really don't know why the app is asking. If I don't add the money, the app is saying that I get some penalty. I really don't know, right? So we need to get into a stage that we can automate these kind of tasks, right? Either through natural language interface or through voice interface. But we haven't gotten into such stage where there are a lot of agentic tasks that can be automated. Yeah, we need to get to that stage. That's where I'm much more interested in. Yeah. If you just sit silently and then look around, there are a lot of use cases that you see that can be automated, but still they are not automated, right? Yeah.
I want to end this with a fun question. And the fun question is, you're not going to know what is the business use case. Okay.
Mhm.
And you have to either pick RAG or fine tuning. Which one will you pick?
Okay, I'll pick with RAG.
Why?
I mean, you need to first quickly prototype it, right? Without with a minimal cost. And then if RAG is not working, then I will see like there are different stages, right? You have prompts, you have embedding retrieval, and then again LLMs. Uh, Once you build a quick prototype, you need to have, I mean, evals, right? Good eval data set. Once you have a good eval data set, then you go backward, whether it's prompts that is making bad, or it's embedding that is making bad, or the LLM generation part which is making bad. So in these 3 or 4 stages, and then see where you can improve. I mean, for your data set, eval data set, and if everything is, I mean, by tinkering with the prompts, or by changing LLM, or by changing embedding models, you are able to do good as per your metric. Then there is no way of going for fine tuning, right? But if things are not working, like the LLM is not as good as for your use case, probably go for fine tuning. Or embedding model is not working, then go for embedding fine tuning. Yeah, this is a, I mean, evolution. Like you go from basic to a complicated one.
That's nice. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and also all the key nuggets that you shared. It was very insightful, and I hope the audience will also find it insightful. Thank you so much, Ravi.
Cool, cool. Thanks a lot for having me. Looking forward to the future podcast as well.
Thank you.